Stop for a moment because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you see your life, your heart, and the person who is slowly moving toward you. Have you ever felt that something is shifting even though nothing around you seems different? Have you noticed an unexplainable sense of calm, recurring thoughts about love, or the feeling that a new chapter is quietly preparing itself behind the scenes? These are not the moments most people pay attention to, but perhaps they should. What if at this very moment someone has made a life-changing decision about you without sending a message, making a call, or revealing a single word? What if the most important choice of their life has been made in complete silence while you continue wondering whether anyone truly sees your worth? The greatest turning points rarely announce themselves. They arrive quietly, transforming lives before anyone realizes what has begun. Today's message is not about fantasy or wishful thinking. It is about the hidden changes that take place within the human heart before two paths finally meet. Stay with me until the very end, because the sign you've been waiting for may not appear the way you expected. And the quiet decision someone has already made could become the beginning of everything you've been hoping for. Your heart deserves to hear what comes next. Imagine for a moment that the most important decision concerning your future is not being announced with loud words, dramatic gestures, or obvious signs. Instead, it is unfolding quietly beyond your awareness in the hidden chambers of another person's heart. While you continue living your daily life, focusing on your responsibilities, your dreams, and even your doubts, someone else may be reaching an inner conclusion that neither of you fully understands yet. This is the strange nature of profound human connection. The deepest decisions are rarely made in a single instant. They emerge gradually, shaped by countless silent reflections, emotional awakenings, and moments of unexpected clarity. There comes a point in every meaningful emotional journey when a person stops running from what they truly feel. They may have spent months questioning themselves, convincing themselves that distance was safer than vulnerability. They may have buried their emotions beneath work, distractions, or the illusion that time would erase what their heart continued to whisper. Yet, the unconscious mind has a remarkable way of preserving what genuinely matters. Feelings that are ignored do not disappear. They simply wait beneath the surface until they become impossible to deny. An invisible decision often begins long before the person becomes consciously aware of it. It grows through repeated memories that refuse to fade, through unexpected moments when your presence enters their thoughts without invitation, and through quiet realizations that no one else has created the same emotional resonance. They may not immediately understand why certain conversations remain vivid in their memory, or why ordinary places suddenly remind them of someone they thought they had left behind. These experiences are not accidents. They are signs of an inner world attempting to bring hidden truths into conscious awareness. Human beings often believe they make decisions through logic alone, but the heart follows a much older language before the conscious mind says, "I choose this person." The deeper self has already been moving in that direction. It notices qualities that cannot be measured, recognizes emotional safety before words can explain it, and senses familiarity where reason only sees coincidence. What appears sudden from the outside is often the final step of a process that has been unfolding silently for a very long time. This hidden decision is not merely about choosing another person, it is also about choosing courage over fear. Every genuine connection asks something difficult of us. It asks us to risk disappointment, to release old defenses, and to believe that the future does not have to repeat the pain of the past. Many people resist this invitation because protecting the heart feels easier than opening it. Yet there comes a moment when remaining emotionally closed becomes more painful than taking the risk to love. That moment changes everything. Even if no one else can see it, the person connected to your path may be experiencing exactly such a transformation. Without speaking your name aloud, they may be recognizing that avoiding their emotions has brought them neither peace nor freedom. The walls they built for protection have become barriers to the life they secretly long for. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, those walls begin to soften. What once felt impossible starts to feel necessary. What once inspired fear begins to inspire hope. The invisible decision is not created by impulse, but by the gradual realization that authentic connection is worth more than emotional certainty, and that some people enter our lives not to challenge our worth, but to awaken the parts of ourselves that have been waiting patiently to be seen. One of the greatest misunderstandings about love is the belief that it begins the moment two people meet. In reality, the deepest connections often start long before a single conversation takes place. They begin within the private world of the individual, where old beliefs are questioned, emotional wounds are acknowledged, and the desire for something genuine slowly becomes stronger than the fear of being hurt again. What appears to be a chance encounter on the outside is often the result of a long period of invisible preparation taking place within both lives. Every meaningful relationship asks a person to become someone they were not yesterday. It requires emotional maturity, self-awareness, and the willingness to let go of patterns that once felt necessary for survival. Many people carry invisible burdens from earlier experiences. They may have learned to hide their emotions, expect rejection, or believe that love always comes with pain. These beliefs become part of the inner landscape, quietly influencing every decision they make without them even realizing it. Before a lasting connection can truly flourish, these hidden patterns often begin to shift. This transformation rarely happens all at once. It unfolds through ordinary moments that seem insignificant at first. A disappointment that forces someone to rethink their priorities. A season of loneliness that teaches the value of genuine companionship. A quiet realization that chasing approval from others has never brought lasting peace. These experiences slowly reshape the heart, creating space for a different kind of relationship, one built not on fear or dependency, but on mutual respect, honesty, and emotional security. Personal growth also changes the way people perceive others. Someone who once ignored kindness may suddenly recognize its value. Someone who was attracted only to excitement may begin searching for peace instead. As the inner world evolves, the qualities that once seemed ordinary become deeply meaningful. Patience becomes more attractive than unpredictability. Emotional stability becomes more valuable than temporary passion. The heart begins to seek what truly nourishes it, rather than what simply entertains it. This is why timing matters so much. Two people can cross paths at the wrong stage of life and fail to recognize what could have been. Yet, when inner transformation has taken place, the same meeting carries an entirely different meaning. The connection feels more natural because both individuals have become capable of receiving what life is offering. They are no longer searching for someone to complete them. Instead, they are prepared to share the fullness of who they have become. Growth also teaches the difficult lesson of letting go. Many people spend years holding on to outdated versions of themselves, old disappointments, or imagined futures that were never meant to happen. Releasing these attachments creates emotional freedom. It allows the past to remain a teacher instead of becoming a prison. As this freedom develops, the heart becomes lighter, more open, and more capable of recognizing authentic connection when it finally appears. Perhaps the most remarkable part of inner transformation is that it often happens without any awareness of what it is preparing us for. A person believes they are simply learning to heal, becoming more patient, or discovering their own value. Yet every lesson quietly reshapes the foundation upon which future relationships will stand. Each act of forgiveness weakens the grip of old pain. Every moment of self-respect strengthens the ability to choose healthier connections. Every challenge overcome builds the resilience needed to love without constantly fearing loss. By the time two prepared hearts finally meet, the encounter is not merely the beginning of a ship. It is the visible expression of countless invisible changes that have already faithful to cease, bridegrooms making the connection feel less like chance and more like the finessel unfolding of lives that have quietly become ready for one another. Every person carries an invisible presence that extends far beyond words, appearance, or outward behavior. It is reflected in the attitudes they cultivate, the emotions they repeatedly experience, and the beliefs they hold about themselves and the world. This quiet presence influences every interaction, often without conscious awareness. While people may focus on what they say or how they present themselves, the deeper aspects of their character communicate something much more powerful. A calm heart naturally creates a different atmosphere than a fearful one. A person who has learned self-respect carries themselves differently from someone who constantly seeks validation. These subtle qualities shape the connections that enter their life. Many individuals believe they attract relationships through effort alone. They think the right words, the perfect appearance, or carefully planned actions are enough to create lasting love. Yet, meaningful connection rarely depends on performance. It grows from authenticity. When someone is comfortable with who they are, they stop trying to become everything for everyone. Instead, they allow their true personality to emerge without constant fear of rejection. This quiet confidence becomes deeply attractive because it invites honesty rather than pretense. Healing plays a significant role in this transformation. Emotional wounds often leave behind invisible expectations. A person who has experienced betrayal may unconsciously expect every future relationship to end the same way. Someone who has faced constant criticism may believe they must earn affection through endless sacrifice. These hidden beliefs influence countless decisions shaping how they communicate, trust, and respond to others. As healing takes place, these old patterns gradually lose their influence. The heart becomes less occupied with protecting itself and more capable of genuine openness. This openness creates space for healthier relationships. Instead of being drawn toward emotional chaos or uncertainty, a person begins to value consistency, kindness, and mutual understanding. They no longer mistake unpredictability for excitement or emotional distance for mystery. Their priorities change because their inner world has changed. They begin recognizing qualities that once went unnoticed, appreciating sincerity over appearances and emotional stability over temporary intensity. Self-respect also transforms the way people relate to others. When someone understands their own worth, they no longer feel compelled to chase those who continually withdraw their affection. They become comfortable setting boundaries, expressing their needs honestly, and walking away from situations that repeatedly diminish their peace. This is not an act of pride, but of emotional maturity. It reflects the understanding that genuine love cannot flourish where respect is absent. As these inner changes continue, relationships begin to unfold differently. Conversations feel more natural because there is less pressure to impress. Trust develops more easily because fear no longer dominates every interaction. Instead of searching desperately for reassurance, the individual becomes capable of offering reassurance to others through their own steadiness and emotional balance. This creates an atmosphere where deeper connection can naturally develop. It is remarkable how often people underestimate the quiet influence of their own growth. They assume nothing significant is happening because external circumstances appear unchanged. Yet every act of forgiveness softens old defenses. Every difficult lesson accepted with humility strengthens emotional resilience. Every moment spent choosing honesty over fear reshapes the character from within. These invisible changes gradually become visible through the peace a person carries, the wisdom reflected in their choices, and the quiet confidence that no longer depends on outside approval without forcing outcomes or pursuing constant validation. They begin to draw toward themselves. People who appreciate sincerity, emotional depth, and mutual respect. What once seemed impossible starts to unfold with surprising ease. Not because fate suddenly changed direction, but because the person themselves became more too. Aligned with the kind of relationship built on trust, understanding, shared values, and the quiet recognition that lasting love grows strongest, where two authentic hearts are free to roam without masks. Life often speaks in quiet ways long before it reveals its larger changes. Many of the most meaningful moments are preceded not by dramatic events but by subtle experiences that gently capture our attention. These moments can seem ordinary when viewed individually. Yet together they create the feeling that something important is slowly unfolding beneath the surface. Human beings naturally search for meaning, and there are seasons when certain experiences seem to repeat with unusual persistence. A familiar song appears at unexpected times. A forgotten memory returns with surprising clarity, or a conversation seems to answer a question that has remained unspoken. While these moments should not be treated as guarantees of a specific future, they often invite deeper self-reflection and greater awareness of what is changing within us. One of the first hidden signs is an unexpected shift in your emotional world. You may notice that old resentments begin to lose their power. Situations that once filled you with anxiety no longer affect you with the same intensity. Instead of constantly looking backward, your attention gradually turns toward possibilities that once seemed impossible. This emotional lightness is not about forgetting the past. It is about no longer allowing the past to define every expectation for the future. The heart becomes less occupied with surviving and more interested in living. Another subtle sign appears through recurring thoughts that carry an unusual sense of peace rather than fear. Instead of imagining worst-case scenarios, you begin picturing relationships built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Your mind becomes less interested in proving your worth and more interested in sharing your authentic self. This change reflects a deeper transformation. It suggests that your inner world is becoming more receptive to healthier forms of connection. Dreams can also become more emotionally meaningful during periods of personal growth, not because they predict exact events, but because they often reflect emotions, hopes, and unresolved questions that remain hidden during waking life. A dream about reunion, unfamiliar places, open doors, or peaceful conversations may symbolize an inner readiness for change rather than a literal message about the future. The unconscious mind often communicates through images and symbols, inviting reflection instead of certainty. Paying attention to these experiences can encourage greater understanding of your own emotional landscape. Coincidences sometimes seem more noticeable during significant periods of transition. You may unexpectedly reconnect with someone from your past, hear repeated themes in conversations with different people, or encounter ideas that answer questions you have quietly carried within yourself. These moments can feel deeply personal because they arrive when your perspective is already shifting, rather than proving that destiny is controlling every detail. They remind us that increased awareness often allows us to recognize patterns we previously overlooked. As we become more attentive to our lives, meaningful connections naturally stand out. There is also a quiet change in how you experience solitude. Instead of viewing time alone as something to escape, you begin appreciating it as an opportunity to understand yourself more deeply. Silence no longer feels empty. It becomes a place where clarity develops. You grow more comfortable with your own thoughts, less dependent on constant distraction, and more willing to listen to your genuine feelings. This inner calm creates the emotional stability that healthy relationships require. Perhaps the most remarkable sign is the gradual disappearance of desperation. You stop feeling that happiness depends entirely on another person's arrival. Instead, you begin building a meaningful life through your own values, purpose, friendships, and personal growth. Ironically, it is often during this stage that authentic relationships become possible because they are no longer driven by fear, loneliness, or the need to fill an emotional void. The heart becomes prepared not because it has discovered every answer, but because it has learned to remain open without surrendering its peace, welcoming new possibilities with quiet confidence, emotional maturity, and the willingness to let genuine connection develop naturally in its own time. Fear has a quiet way of shaping our lives without asking for permission. It rarely announces itself with obvious words or dramatic actions. More often, it hides beneath hesitation, overthinking, emotional distance, or the constant expectation that something good will eventually fall apart. Many people believe they are protecting themselves when they keep their hearts guarded. But in reality, they are often protecting themselves from possibilities that have not even had the chance to exist. The memories of disappointment, betrayal, or rejection can become so powerful that they begin influencing every new relationship before it has the opportunity to reveal its true nature. Preparing your heart begins with recognizing these invisible fears. Every painful experience leaves behind a lesson, but sometimes it also leaves behind unnecessary conclusions. A broken relationship may convince someone that love cannot be trusted. A betrayal may create the belief that vulnerability always leads to suffering. Repeated disappointments may cause a person to expect rejection even when no evidence exists. These beliefs quietly become part of everyday thinking, influencing decisions, reactions, and expectations. Without realizing it, the heart starts responding to old memories instead of present reality. Trust does not mean pretending that pain never happened. It means refusing to let past experiences become permanent predictions about the future. Wisdom grows from experience, but fear often tries to disguise itself as wisdom. It whispers that avoiding emotional risk is the safest path, yet a life completely protected from disappointment is also protected from genuine connection, growth, and the joy that comes from allowing another person to truly know you. Replacing fear with trust is not a single decision, but a gradual process. It begins by becoming honest with yourself about the walls you have built. Some people hide behind constant independence, convincing themselves they need no one. Others seek endless reassurance because they fear abandonment. Some avoid expressing their emotions altogether, believing silence is safer than honesty. These patterns may provide temporary comfort, but they also prevent authentic intimacy from developing. Recognizing them is the first step toward freedom. Trust also requires accepting uncertainty. No relationship comes with absolute guarantees, and no future can be controlled completely. Trying to eliminate every possible risk often creates greater anxiety instead of greater peace. The heart becomes stronger not by demanding certainty, but by developing the confidence to face whatever life brings with resilience and self-respect. This quiet confidence allows love to grow without constant suspicion or emotional exhaustion. As fear gradually loses its influence, something remarkable begins to happen. You become more present in your relationships instead of constantly anticipating loss. Conversations become more honest because you no longer feel the need to hide behind emotional defenses. Kindness becomes easier to receive. Forgiveness becomes less difficult to offer, and hope quietly returns without demanding perfection. The heart learns that openness is not weakness but courage, and that genuine love flourishes where trust is chosen, repeatedly allowing two people to meet with honesty, mutual respect, and the willingness to embrace both the beauty and uncertainty of a shared journey. Many people expect life-changing relationships to arrive with overwhelming intensity, dramatic emotions, or instant certainty. Stories often suggest that true love must feel like a storm that turns life upside down. Yet, some of the deepest human connections begin in a surprisingly quiet way. Instead of creating confusion, they create calm. Instead of leaving you emotionally exhausted, they leave you feeling understood. This difference is important because genuine connection often feels less like discovering something completely new and more like recognizing something that has been quietly familiar all along. There is a unique comfort that appears when two people are emotionally aligned. Conversations do not feel like performances where every word must be carefully measured. Silence is no longer uncomfortable because neither person feels pressured to constantly impress the other. You begin to notice that being yourself requires less effort than pretending to be someone you are not. This sense of ease is not created by perfection. It comes from acceptance, where both individuals feel free to express their thoughts, dreams, and even their imperfections without the constant fear of judgment. A familiar connection does not mean that both people share identical personalities or never can disagree. Differences will always exist because every individual brings unique experiences, perspectives, and strengths. What creates familiarity is something much deeper. It is the feeling that your values, intentions, and emotional rhythms naturally complement one another. Even when challenges arise, there is a willingness to understand before reacting and to communicate before withdrawing. This creates a foundation where disagreements become opportunities for growth rather than reasons for separation. Many people mistake emotional turbulence for passion because uncertainty can feel exciting. They become accustomed to relationships filled with mixed signals, unpredictable behavior, and endless guessing. Over time, this emotional instability begins to feel normal. When a healthy connection finally appears, its peaceful nature may initially seem unfamiliar simply because chaos has become the standard. Learning to appreciate consistency instead of confusion is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. This quiet recognition also encourages trust. You stop questioning every message, analyzing every pause, or searching for hidden meanings behind ordinary actions. Confidence grows naturally because actions consistently reflect sincere intentions. Instead of wondering where you stand, you gradually experience the security that comes from honesty, reliability, and mutual respect. Emotional energy is no longer spent trying to solve endless uncertainty, but is invested in building shared experiences and deeper understanding. As this connection develops, you begin to notice that it supports your personal growth rather than distracting you from it. You feel encouraged to pursue your goals, remain true to your values, and become the best version of yourself. There is no constant pressure to earn affection or prove your worth because genuine appreciation already exists. The relationship becomes a place of encouragement rather than competition, understanding rather than control, and peace rather than emotional confusion. It feels familiar, not because every moment is predictable, but because your heart recognizes the rare comfort of being accepted without disguise, respected without conditions, and valued for who you truly are, allowing love to unfold with quiet confidence, patience, and lasting emotional depth. As we come to the end of this journey, remember that the most meaningful changes in life often begin long before they become visible. A heart opens in silence. A difficult decision is made in private. Personal transformation happens without applause, and genuine connection grows from the courage to become your authentic self. If someone truly belongs in your life, the path toward that connection is not built on chasing, fear, or endless uncertainty. It is built on growth, patience, emotional honesty, and the quiet confidence that what is meant to enrich your life will arrive when both hearts are ready to receive it. Perhaps the greatest preparation is not waiting for someone else to change, but continuing to become the person you are proud to be. Every lesson you learn, every wound you heal, every act of self-respect,